Doom Nation, what's up, guys? We are back here today with another Doomed review. And back to join us for the reviews, Shayne O'Mac. Say what up.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
As always, it's Scagz and your captain, and we are the two Doom Men. And we are here to review What If, the new Marvel series on Disney Plus.
Episodes 1 and 2. It's funny to talk to like people about What If, because when you say it's like a weird title to a show, right? So you're like, let's talk about What If, and they're like, what?
I was texting somebody and I was like, did you watch What If? And they're like, what are you talking about? I was like, the new Marvel. And they were like, all right, so tell me what it's about. I was like, it was such an uphill battle. I was like, you don't know what I'm talking about? Like, it's a what if universe.
Yep. It reminds me of that old like who's on first, who's on second joke. Yes. You know how that goes? Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that. So it's funny, it's clever.
So maybe to start off, for people who don't understand, What If used to be a popular comic book. It evolved from a couple of different things that I won't get into, but What If is basically the multiverse that came from the comic books, and it's what if, oh God, Spider-Man was the next Captain America? What if the Hulk was, what if the Hulk had a weakness or something? What if so-and-so didn't become, if T'Challa didn't become king? It's what if questions turned into a new story. What if Loki was the good guy and Thor was the bad guy? Stuff like that. So it could be anything. It's not 100% canon with what goes on. I think the What If series is canon, though, to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Because it takes place right after.
I figured we'd get into all that and discuss that. But you're right. It's a fun, different, like, mix-up take on mixing things up, like characters, different situations. It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the nice thing about it is you can take anyone and anything. What if, Cyclops is now an Avenger and Captain America is now an X-Men? It could be any scenario, any team up, anything can happen. So it is cool, but it is definitely confusing.
Yeah, you know what? It's cool, and it kind of reminds me of like being a kid and just having a really crazy imagination and like playing around with superheroes and making up stuff.
I used to read a lot of books, and I had like this whole series where you can change the book depending on what option you picked. So it'd be like you read the page and it's like turn to page this for this version, turn to page this for this version. So you could read the book like 50 times.
You play Dungeons and Dragons, isn't that like that?
I don't know. I never played it.
Funny enough, never played it, but Dungeons and Dragons is basically the dungeon master comes up with the quest, and you run into a troll, and then you say you're going to attack it. So if you roll a whatever or higher, you get the hit points. If you roll lower, it kills you.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
So all right. So what did we think? Let's start with episode one of What If, which was
What If Peggy Carter was Captain America?
Yes.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I'll bleep it out.
Yeah. I loved it. That episode was great. I want a full season of Captain Carter and the Hydra Smasher.
Yeah, it was cool. I liked it. It was a very almost rehash of the first Captain America movie.
Which why I liked it.
Pretty much like scene for scene, almost the entire movie. They just switched it from Steve Rogers to Peggy.
Yeah. I liked how they kind of like recreated some of like the iconic scenes from that movie.
They did so good with that.
Yeah, I'll throw my one criticism of it. How did she just magically teleport to Berlin in that one scene where she like she was in England or wherever they were fighting the war, and then the next scene she's in the middle of downtown Berlin and ambushes an entire convoy of Nazis. And I'm like, I know this is a cartoon, but even that's a stretch for a cartoon. She just got into the middle of the heart of Nazi Germany. This woman in a red, white, and blue, Great Britain suit, and just literally at the Brandenburg Gate in downtown Nazi Germany occupied Berlin. I was just like, okay, that's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, I kind of missed it. Yeah.
I mean, it was a bit of a stretch when there's an octopus at the end, but
I do like that it's all the same voices.
Yes,
Voices
that
are
level.
all the actors except Steve.
Yes.
Yeah, that gives like an authenticity to it that I really enjoyed. That wasn't
That was not
wasn't
Chris
him,
Evans. He
okay.
was like one of the few that did not do it.
okay.
Yeah.
For any of the
See, I
X-Men.
didn't know it wasn't Chris Evans. And I think the other two are Cumberbatch and Brie Larson.
It's also, I like looked this up. Chris Pratt is also not in it. My brain is blanking. There was another one. I can't remember, but there's like a handful did not do it, but almost everybody else. I think it's like the really, really big actors outside of Marvel didn't do it.
They didn't have the time, maybe, to commit to it.
Right. But anyway, minus the voice actors and stuff, I think this played out great. I loved the idea of the Hydra Smasher, a World War II styled Iron Man that
Howard Stark made.
That Howard Stark created.
It was Iron Man before Iron Man.
Yeah, which was super thoughtful and creative.
Powered by the Tesseracts too, right? That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think I thought this episode was done fantastic, and also because it held true to the first movie, which was so good, of the first Avenger, Captain America's first Avenger, and that movie was so good and iconic. And like when they burst through the doors and they're all shooting and stuff, it was great. It was. Yeah.
That's what I was saying before. They recreated a lot of those iconic scenes, like you're saying, where they burst through the door with the pistol and the shield. That's a great scene. Even the scene where they're about to like board the train and they're standing at the edge of the cliff. They recreated that. That was another like iconic scene of them all like standing there with the snow.
A lot of lines too. Instead of Bucky being like, "Let's give it up for Captain America," it's Steve being like, "Let's give it up for Captain Carter." And then there was another line, and Bucky was like, "You almost ripped my arm off."
Yeah. Well, that's because now Bucky doesn't become the Winter Soldier. He doesn't, he doesn't fall off the train. He doesn't fall off the rocket.
I really thought it was going to be like Steve, like train blew up and Steve would become Winter Soldier.
Really?
I just had like a feeling that that's how it was going to go. And then he became the Hydra Stomper.
Was it the guy who plays Bucky? Was that him?
Yeah, that was Sebastian Stan.
Sebastian Stan. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I feel like that was the only cartoon character that did not look like the movie.
Yeah, it didn't. It didn't.
Everybody else looked spot on, and he was the only one that didn't.
Well, that's because you got to think that's pre-Winter Soldier.
True.
Oh,
he looked younger and smaller in the first
Bucky
Avenger.
Barnes, World War II Bucky Barnes is my favorite Bucky
XCAF.
Barnes. And that did not look like him.
I don't disagree. The one thing that I think was cool too is now that we know how special Steve Rogers truly is, that not everything that's special in him came out of a can, like Iron Man serum. Yeah, I think he would play. I think his character would make a great Iron Man, probably better than Tony Stark. I mean, for Tony Stark, it's more of redemption, but
Steve Rogers could honestly be anybody because obviously it was proven he's worthy.
Right.
So he could be Thor.
Right. Yeah. I was just gonna say, right. Him being able to lift Mjolnir had nothing to do with the stuff in the can that they shot up in him. It has to do with his like morality.
They proved that in Age of Ultron. He was the only one that's like, nah.
Right. He almost lifted it.
Almost lifted it.
He budged it. Yeah.
It wiggled a little bit. Thor got a little worried. Mm-hmm. But I think that's literally the point is, was it Dr. Erskine literally said, he goes, "You're not a good soldier, you're a good man." That's what makes Captain America, which was the problem with John Walker and Falcon Winter Soldier.
Yes. Yeah.
Very well thought out.
Which is also why Peggy Carter was a good option to take the serum, because she was a good person.
Like moral person, yeah.
Even though, she was a woman.
Yeah,
that was the only issue they had.
Let's touch on that real quick, because this is interesting for me and you, because what was it, like the colonel that was constantly putting her down? Mm-hmm. That's the same guy from The Handmaid's Tale, the Commander Lawrence.
Is it?
Yes. Yep. Yes.
It.
So I thought that was a little funny thing there.
Yeah, like
they cast like a Handmaid's Tale guy into the role of putting the woman down a little bit. It fit.
But that was at the time.
Yeah.
A woman couldn't be a soldier. And that's everything. She wasn't a soldier. She was just,
Well, no, she's an agent.
She was an agent, but she wasn't
a good woman.
Like, they constantly said, like, you can't be in the field. You can't be in the battle. Like, that's not a woman's job. Well,
but this is why I like this episode as well, because we always talk about how the wokeness in movies can really ruin a movie. You don't need to make a movie surrounding, look at me, I'm a woman who's a superhero. Just give a woman a superpower and make her an extreme badass, and everybody's going to love it. They didn't come out with a new Captain America that's a woman now, or that's, gay or whatever. They gave Carter Page the same powers.
Carter Page.
Different. What is it?
Peggy
Carter, yeah.
Peggy.
I love when the captain mispronounces his
butcher
name.
names.
One of my favorite things. He's like Joey Diaz. He just every name he mispronounces.
So I'll stick with Captain Carter. Total badass with a badass superpower, and it worked. I have no problem. They weren't redesigning Captain America.
It's because Captain America didn't exist.
Right.
Yeah.
She is Captain America, just Peggy.
Yeah,
Carter.
like you can't tell me you watched this episode and been like, this is some woke shit.
Not at all.
That's annoying. No,
right.
It was literally she's like,
sense.
Steve can't do it. Yeah. I'm gonna do it. Didn't even give anybody an option and just did it.
Right. Yeah. And that's been our problem from the beginning. Like when you make something woke on purpose, it becomes a distraction. We've said this a million times.
Infinity War and Endgame.
Right. It reminds you, wait, we're in the real world. We're not in the MCU, right? This fit. It made sense. And that's great. Like you're saying, it proves like, in the MCU, like a woman could have been, Captain America.
Just they all had the mindset that a woman couldn't, but
right.
It's because there was no other Captain America. It was just, I'm going to take this chance. Shoot me up.
Yeah.
That was it.
Exactly.
It was also interesting too, to like have a cartoon show like that she's taking on like the weight of the world by, we can't let this serum go to waste. We can't let this machine get destroyed. Like I have to change everything about me.
Split-second decision, life-changing
answer this call. You know what I mean? Like, because we all knew watching Captain America, the first Avenger, that this is the story. There's only, a select few people who live under a rock that don't know how Captain America becomes Captain America. This was a life-changing decision to save humanity, save science, whatever you want to say.
Win the war, right?
Yeah,
at the time.
So it was that brought on a completely different and interesting aspect to it all. Steve wanted this. Steve was the right guy for this. Peggy had to Carter, whatever, had to step up.
Peggy.
Peggy.
I didn't even think of it.
I even screwed myself.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think of it that way. But right, she had to literally make a split-second, life-changing decision.
She even hesitate.
Yeah, right. That shows you in itself that someone like her is like naturally a hero. You know what I mean? Like they didn't even think twice. Bam! Like the call to action comes and she answers the call, no questions asked.
I loved that Steve was not even upset about it. I think he was more like he felt like he let people down more so than like, obviously. Oh, Peggy took my chance. Like,
well, even in that moment when it all went belly up, Steve got up to fight and got shot. You know what I mean?
Right.
Steve was still the right man for the job, but so is Peggy. She's the right woman for the job.
Either one. They're like a perfect duo.
Well, that's the love story between them too.
You know what I thought was really, really cool towards the end of the episodes? Obviously, spoiler warning if you haven't figured that out by now. Where they're fighting like the Hydra, monster octopus thing. When she grabs the sword and she's fighting with the sword and the shield, it gave her an even more. First of all, it was really badass. Second of all, like a medieval English like vibe to it of like like the hero with the sword. It's very Britain.
Yeah,
that's literally what Danny was saying. He was like, all she needs is a sword, and that'd be very like British. And in my head, I was like, why? so question, Cap. You know a little bit more about the stuff than me. Is that something? Is Captain Carter is from comics and like What If comics, right? It's not the first iteration of her I think they've ever done.
That I'm not 100% sure.
I was going to wonder if she had wielded a sword before, and that was part of like the lore of it.
Yeah, it might. I mean, it's some simple research that we could do, but I like the sword because it's not just taking Captain America and making him a woman.
Right.
It's
giving her own character.
Yes, it's her own character who does it her own way, with her own badass style. And the sword was a great touch.
Yeah, and like I said, sets it aside from America too, being more of like the English incarnation of the super soldier with the sword and the
sword and shield.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Little less patriotic, but whatever.
Yeah. That's cool.
But yeah,
she's also not American.
Right.
Yeah, no, she's not. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't remember if there was a Captain Carter comic or what if ever in the past.
Gotcha. So what do we want to review this episode?
I also want to point out the end scene was very much Avengers 2012. She popped out of the Tesseract. To
Right.
Fury and Hawkeye.
Yes.
The same way Loki popped out of
yeah.
the Tesseract, she popped out of the Tesseract.
Right. And it was also, kind of calling back to when Steve came out of the ice and wakes up in the room, and now he's in.
But with her, it was more like with
that
Steve,
other
kind of like
dimension.
slowly let him know that he's in a whole other
Right.
year. They immediately were like, that was 70 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, if you recognize if you recognize that scene, that's when in the first Avengers when Loki pops up.
That's what I said.
And I understand it, but that's when he takes over Hawkeye's brain instead of. So they found Steve in the ice before that. No, before that scene.
I don't know. Good question.
The
I think they
Avengers?
didn't. Did they show? I don't think they showed when they found Steve. It's just
I
like
think they find it was the end credit of something.
Yeah, you might be right.
I think it was the end credit of
that they found Steve in the
First
ice.
Avengers.
I think so.
It's got to be
Maybe.
somewhere
Because they found the
around-
Tesseract and they found him at the same time. So for them to have the Tesseract, he had to have been found before Loki came in.
Right. That's a good point.
But Loki makes his appearance in Avengers, like the original Avengers.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
So she popped in the same way Loki would have popped in.
I got that. I didn't catch that. Right. You're right. Yeah. Because now I'm thinking back. I remember. Right. When in like that shield like pop-up site is where Loki pops in, right?
Loki
and then he uses the Tesseract
tries to take over.
Yeah, and I haven't seen the original Avengers movie in a long time.
I just watched it like 2 weeks ago.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. All right. So what do we want to we're gonna do episode 2, but let's start with rating episode 1.
Yeah.
Go for it, Cap.
I'm giving it a 10. I enjoyed it. The way they recreated the story, the way they did callbacks to the movie, the way they made her own hero, the way they still incorporated Steve Rogers into being a hero, a World War II Iron Man. From beginning to end, I really enjoyed this episode.
Okay.
I will say I do like that they included Howard Stark a lot more.
Yeah.
Because because I feel like with the first Avengers, he just like, yeah, I made the serum and that was it. But in this one, he's like more
integral part of the mission.
Even he was like, I don't know how to fight.
Right.
And yeah, like,
I need somebody to push buttons. Yeah.
Maybe like a 9.
Okay.
It wasn't horrible, obviously. I think I'm just not a fan of the animation style itself.
Okay.
I think that's my only critique on it. I don't know what it is about it. I think they definitely could have been a little bit more detailed with it. I don't like how they move. And then when they're doing scenes, everybody's just standing still until you focus on the main characters. And I'm like, that's a very old school style of animation. And we're a little too high tech for that.
Interesting. Yeah, I see what you mean. My one beef with the animation is the talking doesn't look right for some reason. Like when they're speaking, I haven't
noticed that.
At least to me, it doesn't look 100% like matching the motion. It
looks like they had people acted out and they drew over them.
Kind of, yeah.
Which is a very old school fashion of animation. And I think that's throwing me off because this is supposed to be like a big Marvel like cartoon. I expected, I think, a little bit more from the animation. Like I think I was mentioning it to Danny how it looks like they just put like the little dots on people's faces, just like animated that.
I think what they're trying
motion capture suit.
Yeah.
What they're trying to might do is like a callback to like the comic book days with the cell shading where everybody's got a black outline. And what was that Scagz, what was that World War II cartoon, that 4-part episode thing that we watched about that soldier who after he got hurt, he tricked the military and he went back into battle
on Netflix, where it was filmed it was actually filmed, and then they put like a cartoon filter over it.
Yeah.
Yes, I can't remember what it was called, but I know what you're talking about.
That's what it reminded me of, and I loved that. So the animation here really doesn't bother me.
Okay, fair enough. I'm gonna give it a 9. I definitely thought it was entertaining. It was solid. I loved the scene where they were taking down German bombers and like flying around the air and throwing each other
World
into
War
stuff.
II is your
Yeah.
thing. So
Yeah, that was awesome. It was enjoyable. Like again, like I said, the sword and shield was pretty cool. So I'm gonna give it a solid 9. It was very entertaining, I'd say.
Very good.
All
So
right.
now we're gonna roll right into
Yeah.
episode 2.
Yeah, since these are only like half an hour episodes, we're thinking for this season we'll just review 2 at a time. Yeah. So
if T'Challa was Star-Lord.
Yes. I was excited for this
Me too.
episode, and I have very unpopular opinions about this.
No.
Oh no.
You guys should go first because I
Okay.
would love to just sit here and rant and pick this
Really?
episode apart.
Okay.
I hated it.
No
From
way.
Really?
start
I liked it
to
more than the
end.
Peggy Carter episode.
From the second they opened their mouth, it
No.
sucked.
No
Oh
way.
my god!
So
did I hate it.
I'm gonna piggyback off what you said. I like this one way more than I like the Peggy Carter
Yeah.
episode, and I gave that one a 9, right?
And I think that's because I think I was looking more forward to it.
Because of Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
Yeah,
R.I.P.
there's definitely like a heartstring element to this episode, but honestly, I
love
I
the
hate to put
story.
it this way, but I wasn't even worried about that.
Yeah.
We put that aside. I thought this was entertaining.
Mhm.
It was like a cool, different spin on the Guardians of the Galaxy. You had Thanos as part of the team. That was pretty cool on its own, right? And I thought they managed to make him funny with like all the genocide jokes.
This entire episode basically said the rest of the MCU doesn't matter. Like,
Oh yeah.
Infinity War, Endgame, never happened. Guardians of the Galaxy, never happened.
Right.
And it's all just because T'Challa was a better Star-Lord.
Yes. My main takeaway from the whole thing is it's funny because Peter Quill is always getting shit on. Right. And even in the cartoon reiteration of him, it's like T'Challa made a way better Star-Lord than you ever did. Like he brought like the whole universe to peace. He
Literally.
pacified the Mad Titan and got him off his quest to kill half the
But
universe.
it was the very beginning is like scene for scene, pretty much. First Guardians of the Galaxy, first time
Yeah.
you see Peter Quill, and what is his name? Korath? Whatever
The
his name
exact
is.
opposite reaction.
Was the exact reaction. He goes, like, in Guardians of the Galaxy, he goes, "I'm Star-Lord," and he was like, "Who?" And this guy was like, "Oh my God, you're Star-Lord. Should I kneel? Should I bow? Like,
And
what do I do?" I
that's
have the
where it all
honor
went
of fighting
downhill.
you."
Oh,
And
no.
I will say, I think it was too much trying to be funny in that scene. So that part was a little bit too much for me, but I still loved the fact that he was like so excited that he had a chance to fight Star-Lord.
Mhm.
Because he was like
Yeah.
so known. Whereas Peter Quill, everybody's like, I don't know who that is. Like,
Yeah.
who's a Star-Lord?
I just find it funny because like they're taking shots at him, even like I feel like everyone's always picking on Quill, honestly, like throughout all the things he's in, and they're still picking on him, even though he's really not in it at all. So
But I liked how it did kind of combine the two, where it's like T'Challa as a kid is like, I want to explore. I don't want to just be in this bubble. Escapes for 2 seconds, and now he's in the galaxy.
the greatest cowboy space has ever seen.
so let's hear some of your perspective. Why didn't you like this?
Oh God, I had high hopes for this. I was actually very interested in this concept when I found out about it. R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman. I was excited to hear him again. I think he was a perfect cast for Black Panther. And I was interested in to see what this episode was going to be about. I think it's more personal, and then there's a few plot holes that I really just didn't like. But from the start, I didn't like it. When the new guy or whatever that guard's name was got all gushy and excited over it, hated. I personally just didn't like that. I like that no one knew Star-Lord. The MCU comedy came out of the fact that Peter Quill built up Star-Lord in his head. I think it's much funnier for no one to know who Star-Lord is than for people to gush over Star-Lord.
But then it's just a complete like rehash of the exact same thing that happened the first
The only
time. It's part of
at that
making
point,
it
the only
different.
difference would be that they just picked up the wrong kid, which is literally what it was. They
Yeah.
just picked
No,
up the
it
wrong
was.
kid.
Yeah.
Like,
It was.
and I did see somebody post, they're like, I just want to point out that the Ravagers really just can't tell the difference between like people had to point it out. They're like, they can't really see the difference between like black and white. Because he was like, look, 2 eye holes,
Right,
a
right.
mouth hole,
Human.
ear
Yeah.
holes, like is a human. And
Although
Well,
they're
Yondu's
like,
and like
blue.
Yondu was literally like, does this look like this?
yeah,
And they were like, yeah.
that's kind of a little bit of a plot hole too, though, because they're like, they might not be humans, but they're humanoid. They look
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
humans. It's like not
Yondu
much
is the only one that
difference.
doesn't because he's blue.
Right, and even he's still
And he even-
humanoid
yeah.
though. Like, he still has a head and hands,
Yeah.
feet.
But
still looks like a human.
but they did fix it by saying like there was like this, everything was going crazy, like their machines weren't working because of all the vibranium on Wakanda,
Okay,
which
that
is
makes-
from
okay.
space.
Right.
So
Right.
that, well, T'Challa's the one that pointed that out. He was
Mhm.
because they were like, our like readers were off the charts, and he goes, well, we do live on a meteorite.
I did like how they kind of reincorporated the father mystery, family like drama aspect of the first couple Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, of
He lied to
the
him about his
Ravers. Yeah.
father,
Mhm.
and it was really because he was trying to protect him. So they kind of, I thought it was clever the way they rehashed that a little bit.
They rehashed
Yeah.
it a little bit, but in this one, like Yondu kind of like loved T'Challa from the start.
Right.
Where I
Yeah.
feel like their relationship was a little bit different when it was Peter Quill and Yondu.
Well, so that's one of the part of the problems I had is this version of Star-Lord was way too goody two shoes for me. He got Thanos to go straight. He got the Ravengers to go straight. He's, you know what I mean? Like,
He's Robin
it's
Hood.
great. Yeah,
Or
it's
Robin
great
Leach.
that
Leech.
it's great that he's, going and saving all these planets. The whole interaction between him and Drax was awesome because Drax lost his family and lost his planet, and that's
Now
what
he's
made
just a
him the
bartender.
destroyer. Yeah,
Right.
which
Didn't
is kind of
T'Challa
way more
save
boring
them?
life.
Oh,
Right?
that
but-
was the other one. There was no Dave Bautista.
Okay, it sounded just like him though
It
too.
wasn't him.
Yeah,
I looked it up.
I wouldn't know what Dave Bautista sounds like anyway, but it was just too goody two shoes. I hated how they gushed over him, and the whole galaxy knew who Star-Lord was. And I get it, it's the what if, so it's completely opposite. But some of the plot holes,
What plot holes? You tell us.
Okay,
What were they? 'Cause I
so
don't
at
know.
the very end, when Thanos is telling what who was he speaking to? And she's like, that sounds like genocide.
Oh,
He was talking to.
Oh,
I
it was
believe-
Okoye.
Yes.
The chick from
Black
the
Well,
Collectors. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, I
it
know
was
who you're talking
when they
about.
reunited at the end.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so
It was Okoye.
here's one plot hole that I found. He goes, it's not genocide, it's by chance. Whoa. So that means you had the Infinity Gauntlet and you were snapping planets out of existence.
Well, he already had the plan.
I understand that. But at the beginning of the episode, Star-Lord is picking up an Infinity Stone. How is Thanos snapping and destroying him?
No,
he already did this. He already
was
did this.
explaining to people what his plan was, and all the
I don't-
parts that we did not see,
Yeah.
T'Challa stopped it from happening because obviously T'Challa was just picking up the Power Stone in the
Right,
very
but
beginning of the movie.
But
There's
Thanos
episode.
also says he went straight. So he was
Planning
he's known,
all of
no,
this.
not planning. He used to commit genocide. And on top of
Well,
committing
no, he was always doing that.
yes,
Like the manual way, by like literally like shooting
That's
half
how he
of the
got
people
Gamora.
on a planet. Right.
but he said he's so I'm taking it literally that,
Yeah, I think you're
he
taking
was-
it too literal because he was just explaining what his plan was and that it wasn't going to be a genocide because it's random and he wasn't picking specific
Right.
people to die.
but also
I also
they-
think it's just a joke, bro. Like they're trying to make what Thanos did funny.
but also on top of it, so forget Thanos, the new guy that was gushing over T'Challa is working for Ronan, and he's trying to stop Star-Lord from getting an Infinity Stone. Who is Ronan working for? If there's no gauntlet and there's no Infinity Stones, and
Wasn't Ronan
Thanos
always
didn't do
working for
that,
himself?
no, Ronan was working for
Work
Thanos.
for Thanos. Maybe he was just trying to steal it though. Without
Maybe at that point, because Thanos wasn't doing it, he was going to do it for
it,
himself.
it also wasn't the exact same location that it was found in the original one too. Like
Yeah,
if
it
you
was.
look at if you
Yeah,
look
it's
at
Morag.
no, yeah, but it wasn't like the same exact location. Like if you compare the like see the background and the scenery, it does not look exactly the same. It might
the
be
little shoot ups.
It might be the
Yeah.
same planet, but it was a little bit different from the way I remember it when Quill was like.
Mhm.
It was more of like a cave
I will say I haven't watched Guardians of the
building
Galaxy in a long time.
than it like this was. It reminded me of like
It
the
felt
Acropolis or
similar to
something.
me.
It felt similar, yeah. But
Yeah.
if you look at it, I guarantee if you put it side by side, which I'll probably do here on pictures, it does not look that similar.
I think
it looks a
the
little
thing
bit
that
different.
threw me off the most was Nebula.
Yes,
she was
and
good.
When she first came on, I did not realize it was her. I
Well,
just thought it was some.
because-
She has hair.
she was fine.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie.
She was a baddie,
Yeah,
but I think
that's-
it was her having hair is what threw me off.
Yeah.
Until like I was like, oh duh, she's blue.
Well, you got to understand in the regular
And there was no
universe.
Gamora.
Yeah, there's
that's
no
true. That's a
Gamora
good point.
because she's probably
She is gonna
the
pop up later, though. I do believe. Spoiler warning.
She's
She's in. Isn't she on the?
I think she's in the
She's
commercial.
on like the
Trailer for
the
the show.
poster image on Disney Plus. Like she's there.
Yeah.
So
The reason
like
why
a
you didn't
guy.
recognize Nebula is because every time she lost a fight, Thanos would take a piece of
Changed
her.
part.
You know what I mean? So her eye was the only thing, and it was owed to the Collector. But she was already parting herself anyway. The only thing I did like about this episode was the Collector. And what pissed me off was that's how the Collector should have looked in the
Yes.
movie, because he looked
Yeah.
way more badass. He looked way better than what we got in the movies. I enjoyed all the Easter eggs. I enjoyed that Howard the Duck actually had, a part
Lines.
in it, which was funny and stuff. The fight scene was cool. The Avengers are destroyed. There's the Captain America shield. There's the Mjolnir is in the Collector's.
He also had
collection.
Hela's helmet
Yes,
and Korg's arm.
yes, that
Yes.
was funny. Korg's arm.
Which-
Yeah.
brings me to my next ridiculous plot hole. Is there's no way Star-Lord could beat Hela. Once he put on that helmet, he would have decimated the Ravengers, decimated Star-Lord.
Well,
Would you?
the helmet really didn't change his powers. The helmet, I think he just wore for
He
show.
became the god of death.
Did he though? I
wielded-
feel like it just gave him the power to use like those swords.
Yeah,
It
like
didn't
he
give
put it
him-
on, all of a sudden, like a sword appeared, and
Yeah,
that was
Yeah.
I
like
don't know
it.
if it gave him like magical powers, really. Like
Because like he broke
That's
the
a
helmet,
magical
and that was,
power.
like, it.
yeah, but it's
know.
just a sword though. At the end of the day,
Because like
Uh,
that
that
was like her
part-
battle helmet. Like she
Yeah.
still had her strength and everything
right? She
with or
still had
without
her
that
like
helmet on.
her like
Yeah.
power, like just like Thor, right? Like
Yeah.
Thor, even without Mjolnir, he still has power. But that's like
I
his
don't know if he
power,
could
though.
summon thunder without it. I'm
No,
not
yes, he
100%
did.
sure.
Remember? What do you mean? You didn't watch Ragnarok?
The
Or-
entirety of Ragnarok when he was
about
fighting
him,
Hulk.
like,
Oh yeah, that's
finding-
right. You're right.
Finding his
I've
power.
only
right?
seen
Like,
that one like
they still
once or
have, like,
twice.
even Loki, like like they have like their inherent power,
Yeah.
and then they just have like a weapon that like it's like
that amplifies it.
amplifies it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I like the Easter eggs, and then the other thing that bothered me is, so I knew he had the necklace, but the fact that the necklace was the key to the spaceship, that the two have never met, they've never been on the same planet. Wakanda never knew until a certain point that
I think they
T'Challa
just
was
spent-
off planet.
Sent like ships everywhere
Yeah.
trying to find him.
I understand that, but a new ship was powered by an old necklace. It was too.
It's the vibranium.
It was too set up for a perfect story. It wasn't entertaining to me. It
Remember,
was
they
too good.
also only have 30 minutes.
I understand that, but the thing, when I compare episode 1 to episode 2, that was a good story to me, and I would like to sit through a season of Captain Carter and the Hydra Smasher,
Oh yeah.
where this is all we're gonna get. I didn't like the first 2 episodes of WandaVision, but they redeemed themselves. If I had a full season of Star Panther, whatever you want,
Star Panther.
they maybe be able to redeem themselves. I just didn't care for this story at all. It was
Chris, in the
problem,
first
climax,
episode,
and-
in the first episode, Captain Carter fought a giant octopus, and you're saying that in the second episode, a necklace activating an alien spaceship is too much of a stretch.
yeah.
It's
they were fighting They were fighting Hydra. They were fighting the actual.
it's
Hydra
all
monster.
ridiculous though, in just
I
different
understand
ways.
that,
Yeah.
but I
It's also a
enjoyed.
cartoon.
Yeah.
It's a little bit
enjoyed
different
that
than
more.
like the live action movies.
I get it. But I enjoyed the first. I did not enjoy this, man. I like, and I thought Thanos being a good guy was going to be cool. He had the one good fight scene and a few jokes, but that was
I
about
enjoyed
it.
it. I liked how they reincorporated the was it the Black Hand, right? Is that what they're called? What are they called?
Oh,
Thanos.
the Black Order.
The
The
Black
Black Order,
Order
right?
now works
Yeah.
for the
Yeah, I thought that was cool. So we got
collector.
to see them again. We got to
least-
see Thanos fight them.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
At least they showed you who the Black Order started working for. They don't show you who Ronan's working for. It made sense that
Was
the
he even
Black
in it though?
Order-
He wasn't even
Yeah,
in it.
Ronan was
No.
just mentioned, but
Yeah,
and then T'Challa
Yeah.
took the guy and was like, "Well, you're on my team now," and that was
Yeah.
it.
which
All right, let's go ahead.
I didn't care for picking up that guy either. Here you are, an Imperial Guard. You get knocked out, and then you wake up on a ship. You're as happy as can be to be.
Well, that's the
captive
thing.
and just-
He like wanted to fight him,
yeah,
and he was like, "Well, I got defeated, so now I'm on your team. Cool." And that's what he wanted. He was working for
He was a
Ronan. Probably
fanboy.
he's a fanboy, and he's
That's
only
why I
working
didn't
for
like
Ronan
it.
because like he had to work for Ronan or die. Now he's working for T'Challa, and now he's not gonna die.
yeah. So, question for you guys: now that T'Challa went back to Wakanda and saw his father, does this now mean he, on top of already being the greatest Star-Lord to ever grace the galaxy, he's also going to become Black Panther?
Yeah.
Possible.
Well, not at the moment, right? Because his dad's still alive. But if
Yeah,
he-
the dad's still alive in this version,
yeah,
Right, but he
but
could pay,
he was
the whole
he
idea
was also
to
Black
pass it
Panther
down.
before the dad died
that's true.
because the dad eventually gets too old.
Right.
Yeah,
So it's possible, unless in
So
this
now we get
universe,
Star
Shuri
Panther.
is
Yeah, that's pretty badass.
in
Man.
this version. It could just be Shuri's been doing it.
That's true.
I would much rather that. I'm fine with that. But
Let me
now on
ask
top
you
of it,
guys.
he gets two superheroes in one.
There
Give me
you
a
go.
break.
Let me ask you guys a question. Now that we've seen 2 episodes, do we think there's going to be an overarching story between all of these, like where all of these
Everything
characters that, like maybe in the final episode,
There's a
the
crossover.
What if Avengers assemble to fight like all of these characters throughout episode 1, 2? How many episodes are there?
I don't know.
Off the top. Say there's 6 episodes, right? Okay, well, 6 episodes establish one new main character in the What If universe. Episode 7 is now the Avengers movie of the What If TV show where they all fight
I
together.
don't think so. Just based on how the intro goes of the Watcher just saying like,
Yeah,
"There's multiple universes, and this is what I'm watching."
yeah.
And
And
so
any-
I think he's just going to different universes and just picking a story, unless everything collides, like it's probably going to at some point. I don't think that's going to happen because I think this is literal individual,
Yeah.
just glimpses into the universe.
What do you think, Kat?
I agree with Shane. But I do think it would be cool if we start
Okay.
to see and realize like subliminally, like, oh, there's like an arc going on here. There might be some continuity going on here. But like Shane's saying, the whole purpose of this series is the multiverse breaking apart. And these are the different things that could happen in a moment's notice. Carter Page, Peggy
Page.
Carter.
Every time.
Yeah. Peggy Carter deciding to put her life on the line. Yondu effing up and picking up, the Ravengers picking up the wrong kid. I think it's each complete different universes. that aren't-
Standalone.
Yeah.
See what led me to believe that, or even gave me the idea, is the end of episode 1 with Nick Fury and
Yeah.
whatnot. It's almost like episode 1
Well,
is the
that-
first Avenger. Episode 2 now sets up the second one, etc. And we'll see. As
Well,
it goes.
episode 1 could definitely continue, but it may
Yeah.
not continue with anything that we're seeing
Mhm.
from here on in. That might be its own little universe because Hawkeye is still Hawkeye. Fury is still Fury.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Everybody else could still be the same person, except it's not Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
So that
just-
that might be just like that one little thing that's different in that universe. And that we saw in this episode is Peter Quill is literally just a janitor.
A janitor,
He
Yep.
works at Dairy
So-
Queen. But they did leave it off with Ego finding him. So who
Yeah.
knows?
Right.
So he might be like, "Oh, hi, Dad. Yeah, I'll join you."
Yeah, maybe become a bad guy or something.
But
I wouldn't
Granted,
mind though if
Volume 2
like,
Guardians, Ego's goal was to kill him. So
Yeah, Ego's always planned on killing his son. I wouldn't mind though if these are standalones because we literally can do not we, Marvel can literally do whatever they want and can get as entertaining and crazy as
Mhm.
possible. So if there is a season 2 of What If, I really wouldn't want to see episode 2 of Captain Carter, episode 2 of
yeah,
T'Challa
something
Star-Lord.
completely different.
Give me give me Wolverine being Spider-Man or something for next
Right.
season. You know what I
I
mean?
know what you mean. Completely mixed. Spend more episodes completely mixing up more.
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean, I think this is such a great opportunity to just all outside the box. The movies are so good. The TV shows are standalone, fantastic. This is just, you know, an all
This is
out.
filler.
Yeah. So I have one more question that will give us more stuff to talk about. But first, let's rate episode 2 here. If T'Challa became Star-Lord, what do you guys want to give
I'm also
it?
going to give it a 9.
Okay.
Wasn't bad.
Scagz.
I enjoyed it, but it's not like amazing.
I'm giving
Give
this
it a
one a
9.
10. I enjoyed the hell out of this one. I thought it was entertaining. It was cool to see Chadwick Boseman again.
R.I.P.
Even though, I love Thanos throughout. I thought that was funny. The Collector, like you said, I thought that they did him justice this time. He was brolic. He used stuff he collected as weapons against people he was fighting. I thought it was awesome. This was definitely, out of the two, my favorite one so far. Go ahead, Cap.
A 1. It's my own
The
personal
lowest Doom review of all time.
It's honestly just, I personally did not like it. It didn't entertain me. It didn't, you know, just the way they presented it. It wasn't for me, not my style. So I didn't care for it. When I literally turned it off and I just went, what the F? Like, okay. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Wasted my time.
All right. So, spoiler warning here as we get to our final question of mine. If you haven't watched them yet, watch our Doomed reviews of Loki season 1. So my question here is going to be: is what happened in Loki what caused this? Technically, right? This is canon now. This is canon. What if is canon for the MCU?
I believe
so. If you're looking at it in terms of like a timeline, even now of the timeline being messed up, you had the Loki show concludes with the multiverse basically expanding, all the Nexus events, everything happened. Are these little Nexus events that we're now seeing, getting a glimpse into, it has nothing really to do with the overall story of Loki, but Loki set up, now we can see little glimpses into these things that happened. Is it directly related to Loki? Is this happening because of what happened in the Loki series?
Well, I think it's just like anything. It's already happening. The Loki thing is all the universes colliding, pretty much, I believe. Because when you see the branches, everything's like intertwining, which is why everybody's hoping all the Spider-Mans come together. Because all the universes are now, all the multiverse is open. People are jumping in and out. I think these are just what's happening in other universes.
Okay, that's what you think. What about you, Cap? What do you think?
Maybe.
I wish I knew this was going to be your question, because I'd have to go and do some research. But I think hold on. I think they already announced that this is Marvel canon, that everything's going on is canon. From what I do understand and what I do believe is all those little branches of the multiverse breaking off. This is the result. This is, you know, Captain Carter was one branch breaking off. T'Challa Star-Lord is another branch breaking off. So I think we're seeing the repercussion of what happened with Loki.
So I gave it a quick Google search, and according to IGN, yes, it is officially canon. And that's going to bring me to my point is I believe there's a reason why they put what if after Loki. It's because Loki smashed the sacred timeline essentially. And now when one of those branches is occurring, this is one of those branches. This is one of those branches. And now, and you know, it's a cartoon, so you get to see it's not going to tie back to Loki, but you're just getting a glimpse at one of like the infinite possibilities of what could have happened. And
the Watcher is the Watcher. It's an actual character.
Is it like a celestial?
No, a Watcher. I wouldn't know how to explain it. It's like a celestial. You could look it up. There's Watchers. You know, the big thing with Stan Lee popping up in every movie was that he was a Watcher as well.
Didn't they actually show him as a Watcher in one of the things?
I believe so. Watchers, if you look at it the way I've always put it and understand it, and Marvel Universe, before you decimate me if I'm wrong, I don't know if I'm 100% right in what I'm about to say, but the Watchers are basically the people who tell us the stories. When the comic books were coming out, so you know how like Deadpool could break the fourth wall? the Watchers can break the fourth wall or a fourth universe wall and present us these stories. They watched Thor and the Hulk in Ragnarok, and the Watchers present us with Thor Ragnarok. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
So the Watchers are actual characters in the MCU.
Okay.
Gotcha. Do you think this Watcher is going to do something at the end and interfere? Because they seem to stress how much he just watches and he can't interfere.
Like I was getting the vibe that he might have been like a Kang.
I'm not.
But I was also like I never knew anything about Kang until.
These are good things to theorize as we go along here, and then we'll see if we were right or wrong or anything later on.
I don't know. I don't remember ever seeing any Watchers interfere. You know what I mean? Like, I don't remember throughout anything that. I'm not sure. It's using the Watcher as a focal point for explaining what's happening in all the multiverse is a great idea because they can see all the multiple universes. That's kind of like their power. Watching is their power.
Maybe the final episode will be, what if the Watcher stopped watching and he started doing something about it?
It's just a black
The Watcher became a listener or something.
Yeah, it became an actor. Yeah, he went in there and started punching people in the head. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. I've never seen them too much, but maybe that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, so we'll see as we go. Like I said, we'll come back to it. Yeah.
I think I saw a little picture. The next one I think is Loki.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can never get enough of him.
Yeah, he's popular now. I know another one.
I think it actually is like Loki's good and Thor's bad. I think I read something.
It's like Party Thor, I believe. It's
nice.
Like we'll see.
So it's
we will see. Yeah. Let's leave it at that.
I know one of them is Spider-Man. What if the Time Stone found Spider-Man and made him the timekeeper?
Okay.
Yeah. So instead of Doctor Strange, Spider-Man takes on being Spider-Man, and no, he takes on being Spider-Man and Doctor Strange.
Spider-Strange. Okay.
Yeah. Strange Spider.
So it's going to be an interesting season, definitely. Just to have a little fun here in the meantime before we get to another full MCU project.
We got
after this
Shang-Chi.
Yes.
Yeah. And the 10 Rings, which
looks pretty awesome. Tickets.
Nice. Yeah. We'll try and do a Doom review of that, definitely. Yeah. Of course.
All right. Excited for an MCU movie in theaters.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would like to do that.
It's been a while. All right. Sign us off. Yeah.
All right, Doom Nation. Thank you guys for sitting in through another doomed review of Marvel's What If. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Of course, we have our own podcast called the Two Doomed Men Podcast. Check us out on Instagram at @2doomed_podcast. And the link in our bio takes you to our link tree where you can find us everywhere else. So Doom Nation, thank you guys again. Adios.
Keep watching.